I want to thank everybody for coming to our home. It's not just our friends, our family. I want to thank everybody for being loving and supporting towards us.
Yeah, you guys are our chosen family.
Please.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 13, Episode 4. And first things first, the way these housewives are about to wear me out, because you have Potomac with the colorism, then you have Jersey with this whole family dynamic that's all messed up. I'm just like, can we have some peace? One thing about Jersey is it will always have us divided. I think it is so hilarious how with every other franchise, for the most part, we're always on the same page. But when it comes to this particular franchise, it's me fighting with y'all in the comments. But y'all, with all that being said, let's just jump right on into it because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. I noticed that we finally heard their taglines. I mean, y'all made us wait 4 episodes. The taglines were just okay to me. But we start this episode with 2 parallel scenes with Teresa and Louie and Melissa and Joe, and they're talking about all the mess that went down at the guys' night. So Teresa is upset to hear that Louie and Joe got into it. She's like, Louie, your family is so perfect, they're awesome, and here my family is acting like a damn circus. Now, Teresa, you are a part of this circus. Please do not pin this all on your brother and your sister-in-law. Like I've been saying, you guys are all contributing to the dysfunction and the drama and the reason why you guys can't get along. Nobody in this is blameless. I know you're all zen now. I know that you have Louie helping you. You're in therapy, and that's great and all. But please don't act like you've been above the mess because you're with it too. I don't care what anybody says. I feel like the real root to why they can't get along is this show. I think that she wanted to be the only star in the family, and Joe and Melissa joining means that she's not that special. I also feel like on Joe and Melissa's part, there was jealousy and they wanted to be on TV as well. So that's why they did whatever they had to do to get on. With Melissa reaching out to Danielle Staub behind Teresa's back. I mean, again, on both sides, there's some resentment, there's some jealousy, and some major competition. But I do think that once this show is over for all of them, I could see them finally being at a place where they're able to get along again. But again, just my thoughts. So now Louie brings up the real reason why Joe was upset at guys' night, because Teresa didn't invite Melissa's mom and sisters to the wedding. So Teresa's like, I'm not close with Melissa. I'm not close to her mom or her sisters. So why would I invite them to our wedding? So Louie mentions that Melissa's mom used to be really close with Teresa and Joe's dad, and that's a reason why Joe and Melissa feel like her mom should have been invited. So Teresa's like, okay, and did they invite you and your family to Antonia's Sweet 16 last year? No. Now, Teresa, I have to be honest with you. I do believe that you were a bit petty to not invite Melissa's mom. I understand you not inviting her sisters, but I do think that her mom should have been invited. And also, Teresa, you know good and damn well that comparing why didn't Melissa and Joe invite Louie's family to Antonia's Sweet 16 to why you didn't invite Melissa's mom to your wedding, that's comparing apples to oranges. You actually had a relationship with Melissa's mom at some point, whereas Joe and Melissa probably haven't been around Louie's family at all. So now Teresa wants to know, why does Joe have all these ill feelings towards her? She's like, what did I do to traumatize him so badly? Like, I just don't get it. Why can't we get along? So now Louie says that he feels bad for Joe Gorga because obviously Joe's in a lot of pain. Again, I'm not here for Teresa, Melissa, or Joe Gorga trying to play the victim in circumstances that they have all created. So now Louie prods Teresa to call up Joe, and she doesn't want to do it. But she calls him up anyway, and she's just like, hey, what's up? Joe's super dry, she's dry. And I was thinking, y'all, just end this relationship. Y'all obviously don't see it for each other. You guys don't get along. There's resentment and hurt on both sides. Why are you trying to force yourself to have this sibling relationship that you just don't have anymore? They both look so pained on the phone. Joe didn't want to talk to her. She didn't want to talk to him. It's like, why torture yourselves? Joe Gorga's talking about he just wants to move forward. Nothing he wants to talk about because every time they talk about stuff, it ends in an argument. Teresa agrees and she says, yeah, nothing good comes from discussing the past anyway. Now, Joe, for you to say that you don't want to talk about anything, that's surprising to me because all you talk about in your scenes with Melissa is all the drama. You clearly have a lot of things that you want to get off your chest with Teresa. So if she is calling you up to hash things out, you might as well just get it off your chest, right? I feel like Joe Gorga can be very passive aggressive at times because he'll claim that he's angry at his sister, and then when he's in her face, then he wants to shy away and not say anything. Either get it off of your chest and move on, or if you're not going to talk about it, then shut up about it. Because I'm tired of hearing about the same old thing. Then Teresa wants to know if he's going to attend her party, and he says, well, I don't know. And I said, again, Joe, you're not helping things by not wanting to attend the party. You just said that you want to move forward. Your sister is trying to extend an olive branch by inviting you to the party. And now you're saying, well, I don't know if I want to go. I'm getting irritated because it feels like we're in circles with this whole entire dynamic. And I don't know how much more I can keep saying that y'all need to just get therapy or just move on. They hang up the phone. We see Joe and Melissa talking about it. Melissa saying, look, you guys finally have some peace now. You talked on the phone. Personally, I didn't think that that conversation was a productive conversation. Nothing got solved, and they barely spoke to each other. But I was irritated when Melissa and Joe were talking about the podcast that they did, where they said that if it weren't for them, that Teresa and Joe Giudice's kids wouldn't have eaten. And then Melissa tried to clear it up, talking about we didn't mean it in a bad way. All we were trying to say was we were trying to help Joe Giudice out because while Teresa was in jail, he wouldn't have gotten any money had we not filmed with him. And we helped the family out while they were down. I think that Melissa and Joe need to find other things to talk about. I think that since they know that their bread and butter is talking about all this past drama, they keep bringing it up. You guys already have a strained relationship with Teresa, so why bring up the time when she was in jail and you had to help her kids out? You already know it's going to cause an even bigger rift. Move on. There was no reason for you to bring this up in the first place. We're 4 episodes in, and all I have to say is, I'm going to need for these storylines to pick up. I'm growing quite tired and bored of this whole Teresa versus Joe and Melissa. This next scene with Dolores, when she's at home talking to her son Frankie and her mom, and they're talking about Frank and Polly not getting along, all I have to say is this. I want everybody to stop trying to force Dolores to be wrapped back into that old dynamic that she had with Frank. That's over and done with. She has a new man in her life, and they all need to accept that. I was happy when Dolores told her son, look, Polly and your dad are never going to be friends, and that's okay, but I need you guys to all deal with that. Your dad is no longer the man in my life. Polly is, and I took care of all you guys for all these years, but right now it's my time and it's all about me and what I want to do, not about you guys. So either deal with it or don't deal with it, but I'm gonna do me. And I'm here for it. I said, as Dolores should, put herself first. And I just feel like Frank had his chance, he blew it, so nobody wants to hear him whining about how Dolores isn't there anymore and how Dolores has changed and their whole dynamic isn't the same anymore. He'll be okay. He's a grown man. And when he had Dolores, he fumbled her with his serial cheating. So he cannot be mad that his ex-wife has officially moved on. And when Frankie was talking about, oh, well, you know, Dad's hurt because he just assumed that it will be the same dynamic when you were with David. And I just said, you can't expect everything to remain the same. And just because Frank got close to her ex-boyfriend does not mean that it's going to be the same thing with her new man. And one more thing, if I were Frank's girlfriend, I would definitely feel a type of way, like, why are you so bothered about what your ex-wife is doing? Do you still have feelings for her? Like, what's tea? Because you're with me, but you're still worried about what she's doing? I think I'd be out the door. It would definitely be, shout out to everybody, I have fun.
Oh! Shout out to everybody, I have fun.
I gotta be good.
And one more point. I'm not fooled by Frank because I had said this in the premiere recap, and you guys also said it in last week's recap, that Frank is only bothered because he knows that his check is in jeopardy. With Pauly being in the picture, then that means that Frank won't be needed. And we know that Frank needs this Bravo check because what is his job again? He got disbarred. I don't know if he still does construction, but what I do know is that he is first in line for whatever Bravo's paying him. So I feel like a lot of why Frank is upset about Pauly being there is because he knows that his days on the show might be numbered. Dolores is a better woman than me because there's no way that my ex-husband would be profiting from a show that I'm on. Absolutely not. Frank would be nowhere near these cameras. I would be telling production, do not say his name, blur his name out, blur his face out. He will not be receiving a dime. Can somebody explain to me, how does Jennifer Aydin have fans? Because she is so irritating. This scene between her and Bill having a date night, it was clear that Jenn wanted to pick a fight with him. I'm going to keep saying it. I do not think that Jenn and Bill are happily married. I think that they are both miserable, especially Jenn. I don't think that she's gotten over Bill's affair because when she brought up to him about their son going to prom and how she got him a party bus, and Bill was like, you're spoiling the kids, you're creating a monster, you need to stop that. And then she was like, well, I'm gonna make them happy, I don't want our kids to be sad, and our kids had a very rough year last year since your affair got brought up. And I said exactly that. Jenn is still upset about what happened. She's still holding that grudge about the affair. And instead of dealing with her feelings or getting a divorce, she wants to low-key punish him. And this is why cheating will always be a deal breaker for me, because I've told you guys, I hold a grudge. So I know that I'm not gonna forgive that. So I'm gonna be out the door. And I feel like, Jenn, if you really wanna be out, then just be out. Because clearly you still have not gotten over it. And understandably so. That's very hurtful and it's devastating to be cheated on. But either you're going to forgive him and just move on from it, or if you still can't get over it, then you might have to make a hard decision and pack your bags and leave. Because what's the point of being in a marriage where you're miserable, he's miserable, and all you guys are doing is fighting? But Jenn reiterates that she feels bad when her kids are sad, and now Bill says to her that maybe she might have to unpack some issues of her own. So the minute Bill said that, it was already a fight. Jenn says, it's so irritating how you assume that it's something that I did. So she brings up the fact that Bill bought a new Ferrari and she didn't say anything about that. And I was like, where is this conversation going? What is Jenn talking about? I didn't think that that was the worst thing that Bill said to her about, well, maybe you might have to unpack your own issues. Like, I didn't think that that was anything for her to get offended about. So Jenn continues on by saying that Bill uses her as a scapegoat. Bill was confused. He was trying to eat his food like, what is she talking about? Now, when Jenn brought up the whole Dolores argument, and she says that Bill never has her back, why can't he just defend her? And Bill was like, Jenn, all I was trying to do was diffuse the situation. That's it and that's all. So now Jenn snaps at Bill and says that Bill takes her love for granted because he knows that she'll always forgive him. This argument was too convoluted. I didn't know what point Jenn was trying to make. It just seemed like she has so much anger that she just wants to get it all out at once. You obviously have a lot of hurt and pain inside, because I did not think that anything that Bill said warranted this extreme anger. But Bill sarcastically agrees to gas her up a bit more. And then Jenn says in her confessional that she does not feel the support from Bill, and that's not gonna fly anymore. I'll be honest with y'all, I will not be surprised if Jenn and Bill end up getting a divorce, because the way they're going, I just don't see it continuing for much longer. They both seem miserable. And now, since Jenn has some fame and some money of her own, I could definitely see her packing her bags and leaving, because now she has a certain level of independence that she didn't have before. So I know I was a bit harsh with Jenn Fessler, I think in the episode 2 or episode 3 recap, but she's growing on me. I'm kind of liking her. I think that she's a good addition. I like her being a friend of. And this scene between her and Rachel Fuda going out for lunch, I got my entire life. When they sat down to order their food, and I think Jenn Fessler ordered the pizza, and Rachel was like, oh, do you want to share? And she said, oh no, I don't like sharing. I said, Miss Jenn Fessler is about her food, and I'm not mad at it. And one thing I love about the Jersey franchise, Jersey is always going to give us the spreads. The charcuterie trays are always going to be on point. The parties, I mean, chef's kiss. But they sit down to talk. They both say that it was an instant connection between them. Remember that Jenn Fessler is Jewish and Rachel Fuda is half Italian and half Jewish. So they clicked. So they both bring up Danielle's mozzarella party. They were like, everybody was going at it. You had Margaret versus Jenn Aydin. Then it was Dolores versus Jenn Aydin. I mean, Jenn Aydin is the center of the drama. So Rachel says, well, funny you should mention Jenn Aydin, because after the party was over, she called me. So at first she called me to apologize about bringing up my nose job. I was like, girl, it's okay. I'm an open book. We all know that I got my nose done. So now she goes on to add that the conversation got weird because Jenn brought up Dolores. So Rachel says that she was caught off guard about that because everybody knows that her and Dolores are super close. Now we learned that Rachel and Dolores have known each other for 10 years. Rachel met Frank's girlfriend when they were at the gym together, and they were both training for a bikini bodybuilding competition. So she knows Frank and his girlfriend really well, along with Dolores. So since she's team Dolores, she's confused as to why Jenn Aydin would even try to talk about her good friend on the phone. Like, sis, you already know where my loyalty lies. So now Jenn Fessler says, well, that's funny because Jenn Aydin called me up too right after the party. And since I had mentioned therapy and marriage counseling, she called me up asking about a good therapist for her and Bill. So Jenn Fessler continues on by saying that the conversation quickly turned from that to Margaret. So Jenn Fessler's like, she went on this tangent about how Margaret's jealous of her. And I was thinking, I mean, you do know that Margaret's my bestie, right? So why are you talking to me about my friend? So Jenn Fessler continues on by saying that Jenn Aydin has big balls and it is not cute. One thing I noticed about Jennifer Aydin, she loves to throw that out there that she believes that somebody's jealous of her. Jennifer Aydin has always given me that she wasn't cool in high school, and because of that, she's trying to make up for that now because she's rich and has the money to buy all the things that she wants. So because of that, she's trying to make up for her not being popular back in the day. That's the vibe that I get from her. Now we get to the day of Teresa and Louie's party. They're setting up, I mean, their backyard is gorgeous. I will give them credit for that. The home is stunning. We learned that Joe Gorga will not be attending. He feels like his sister doesn't want him there, and he does not want to feel uncomfortable. Now, Joe, here's where I have to get on you because you're making a very clear statement by not attending this party. If you really do want to move forward with Teresa, then you would attend. You already know that this is going to be a snowball effect of more arguments and fights to come between you and your sister by not attending this party. At least show up for an hour, pop your head in. Nobody's saying to stay the whole time, but I do think that it's a bad look that you're not going to attend. But while Teresa and Louie are preparing for the party, Gia and Melania come out. They're like, hey, Mom, are you excited? She's like, yeah, I can't wait. But by the way, your uncle won't be attending. They're upset about it, but they're like, you know what, Mom? It's your day. Just enjoy it. So now Teresa also brings up the fact that Joe's upset that his in-laws weren't invited to the wedding. So Gia's like, I mean, does Melissa's family invite you to stuff? No. So again, why are they so pressed about it? But the party starts. We see Dolores and Polly arrive, Jackie and Evan, Bill and Jen, Danielle and her husband, Rachel and her husband are there. Pretty much everybody's there except for Melissa at this point. So we see Margaret talking to Dolores and Jackie, and she's like, you see Jenn Aydin? She is so up Jenn Fessler's ass. And Jenn Fessler called me the other day and told me that she called Jenn Fessler up talking about me. So they're like, wait, what? Why would she do that? So now Margaret says, yeah, Jenn Fessler was telling me that Jenn Aydin was talking about I'm jealous of her. Again, I definitely don't think that Margaret is jealous of Jenn Aydin in any shape, way, or form. I don't. And I know a lot of you guys don't like Margaret, but please be honest. I just don't see jealousy. They just don't get along. It's not in the cards for them to be friends. Yes, Margaret is messy, but one thing about it, I don't get jealousy vibes from Margaret. Now, I did think it was fake and phony to see Jenn Fessler hug Jenn Aydin. I said, girl, you were just talking about her at lunch with Rachel, and now you guys are all hugged up, making small talk. I said, Now, as the party's going on, Melissa finally arrives, and of course, she's solo since Joe Gorga did not want to attend. When Melissa got there, her whole demeanor was just down, very solemn, very sad. And I was thinking, Melissa, if you're going to attend, put a smile on your face and at least try and look like you want to be there. Don't show up already sad and depressed. Nobody wants that energy. And may I tell you guys something? My heart broke when Melissa went over to Gia and Gabriella. That whole interaction was so awkward and so tense. I was like, oh my gosh. Did you guys peep the way Gabriella was just staring at Melissa? She was looking at her like, girl, what are you doing here? Like, please get out of my face. Gabriella was not having it. And I had always wondered if the cousins still talk to each other and see each other despite the adults having all the drama. And when Gia said that it just sucks because I miss my cousins. And when she said every time there's some drama, the cousins are automatically separated. And it's so upsetting that these kids are all suffering and they're not close because of what Melissa, Teresa, and Joe are all going through. I mean, I'm not surprised because let's be real, you generally are going to side with your parent. So I get it. But it's just like, this doesn't have to be the case. If they could all just get into some therapy and move on from whatever gripes they have about each other, then everybody could be close again, including the kids. But the fact that the kids have to suffer through this because the adults want to be immature and petty, it's shameful. I remember seeing on TikTok that Melania and Antonia are super close. I hope that's the case. I don't know anymore. I do remember seeing 2 years ago, they were on TikTok where they imitated Melissa and Teresa getting into it over the sprinkle cookies in season 3. But Melissa goes on to say that she's really heartbroken because she loves her nieces to death, even though she knows that they have hate for her. And I just said, y'all need help. There's really no other way around it. You guys need some serious counseling because the fact that this family is this fractured and cannot seem to get on the same page, it says a lot. The way the camera kept panning to the food, my mouth was watering. That fresh penne alla vodka, I said, Teresa, please invite me to your next party. Please. I will be there with bells on. Now, when Louie and Teresa got up to speak, they thank everybody for coming to the party. And then Teresa says, we love you guys so much. You guys are our chosen family. The minute Teresa said that, I said, Teresa, you know what you're doing. That was obvious shade towards your brother. Melissa caught it immediately. She said, now, why would you say that knowing that your brother isn't there? Margaret looks at Melissa. She's like, well, that was a dick thing to say. Why would Teresa say that?
Melissa, that's a dick thing to say.
It's okay.
What the was that for?
I don't think chosen family was exactly the right words to say when your brother's not there.
Now, whether you like Melissa and Joe or not, you cannot deny that Teresa knew exactly what she was doing by saying that. I personally would have just said, thank you all for coming. We love you guys. Let's have fun. Enjoy the rest of the night. That's what it would have been. Even if I did have a strained relationship with one of my siblings, I wouldn't sit there and make things worse by talking about, oh, you guys are my chosen family. And of course, Melissa's upset. She starts crying. And of course, we see her go into the house to use the restroom, where she's probably crying and trying to dry her eyes. We cut to Jackie and Melissa talking, and Melissa says, Jackie, I have to be honest with you. The other day, me and Danielle went out, and I told her what you said about her outfit. So Jackie's like, girl, I don't care, it is what it is. So of course, Danielle hears Jackie and Melissa talking about her, so she walks over and says, I don't like being talked about. So now she's like, Jackie, is my outfit okay? Does it look like I rolled out of the hamper? And Jackie says, no, it actually looks all right. But I have to say that I don't appreciate you saying that I looked you up and down. So Danielle says, look, I caught a vibe from you that I didn't like, and it's my party, it's my house. I didn't invite you, and it is what it is. Now, one thing about Danielle talks with her hands. So when she was talking, it was all this, like, girl. And Jackie's like, can you please get your hands out my face?
Get your hands out of my face, thanks.
First of all, you're from Staten Island. You know if my hands are in your face.
No, but I don't want your hands in
This is
my
how I
face.
talk. This is how I talk.
So Jackie says, look, girl, if you don't plan on saying I'm sorry, then get the F out of here. And now she walks away. So far, I'm liking Danielle, but it was clear that Danielle wanted a moment. And Jackie said, no, I'm not going to give it to you, so I'm going to go away. And you could tell that Danielle was upset by it because she wanted to keep fighting. Now, you guys pointed out Danielle was on MTV's True Life documentary. I remember her episode 2. It was called I'm from Staten Island. And I was like, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense because she looked so familiar. But I think it's so funny that she was on MTV years ago and now she's on Real Housewives of Jersey. And can we quickly talk about how MTV used to have the best shows, Making the Band, I Lived for True Life, like those documentaries were so good. Like now it's all these reruns of, I think, Teen Mom and Ridiculousness. It's such a shame how much the channel has fallen, but anyhow, I digress. So now we cut to Jackie and Jenn Aydin doing a shot together. And so Margaret runs over and she's like, Jackie, what are you doing? Jenn was talking about you at Danielle's party, calling you a snob. So Jackie's like, I mean, being called a snob isn't the worst thing in the world. Like, I really don't care. But I said, Margaret, your little messy moment fell flat. So because that didn't work, Margaret brings up how Jennifer Aydin was talking about her to Jenn Fessler the other day. So Margaret's like, why would you talk about me to my friend? So Jenn brushes Margaret off. She's like, well, first of all, I called Jenn Fessler up about marriage counselors, and then your name got brought up after. So Margaret says, well, Jennifer Fessler told me that you said that I'm jealous of you. So now Jenn Aydin says, well, no, I didn't say that. All I said was, I think that you're threatened by me. There's a difference. So now Margaret says, well, let's call Jenn Fessler over here. And did you guys notice that Jenn Fessler looked a bit nervous? And I said, Jenn Fessler, don't get quiet now because you were talking all big at that lunch, talk about, oh, Jenn Aydin has big balls and she's manipulative and she's calculated. And now all of a sudden you get called to the carpet and now you want to be quiet. I said, no, girl, that's not how this works. So now Margaret and Jenn Aydin go back and forth. Margaret's like, how can we move forward if you want to still hold a grudge? So now Rachel jumps in and she addresses Jenn Aydin for doing the same thing to her. She's like, Jenn, you called me right up after the party as well to talk to me about Dolores. So now Dolores is like, wait, what? You already know that Dolores was angry hearing her name being brought up in the conversation because she can't stand Jenn. So now Jenn gets loud and she's like, no, I didn't, Rachel. That's not what happened. I just told you to stay out of the mess between me and Dolores. So now Rachel says, no, that's not what happened. And now Jennifer Aydin calls Rachel an idiot. So I was just thinking, girl, you did not have to call that woman an idiot. It's very immature. It's very childish. Like, the way Jennifer Aydin argues, she argues like a child. She gives very much a 3-year-old having a temper tantrum. So at this point, Jennifer Aydin is screaming. Teresa comes over. They're all trying to calm her down. They're like, Jenn, we're at a party. Keep your voice down. Bring it down a few notches. And they all want to know, like, what the F is going on? So now Jenn wants to get shady and she says, Rachel, I called you up to apologize to you about bringing up your nose job at the party. People talk about my bad nose job and I feel bad about your bad nose job. So they're all like, Jenn, really? Like, what an asshole remark to say. And I was like, Jenn, that was so unnecessary of you to do that. So because you feel bad about your nose job, now you want to insult Rachel about hers. Now, don't get it twisted. I am all for plastic surgery. I'm all for a cute little nip tuck, a cute tweak. Do what makes you feel happy. But I will say that both Jenn Aydin's and Rachel's noses are pinched to the high heavens. They could have definitely toned it down a little bit. I mean, they both give Cindy Lou Who. And if I'm being honest, if I had to choose whose nose job I liked better, I guess I would pick Rachel. I feel like Rachel's nose is in proportion to her face, whereas I think that since Jennifer Aydin has a rounder face, her nose being so pinched looks a bit off. But again, Jenn loves to go low every time somebody calls her out about her own bad behavior. Now, Rachel, if you're going to be a housewife, you are going to have to learn how to read. Because Jenn ate you up in this argument. She had you and your husband leaving the party early because you were pressed. You were like, you know what? I'm done. Let's go. And Jenn felt smug because she said to you as you were leaving, don't let the door hit you on your way out. And you were like, girl, there is no door. We're outside. Again, don't let Jennifer Aydin get the best of you like that. And I do think that Rachel might be a bit too sensitive because Jenn definitely got under her skin. And I felt bad. I was like, again, sis, if you're going to get on these shows, you cannot allow these girls to eat you up like that. But that was the episode, y'all. And when I tell you that Jennifer Aydin works my nerves. But in all seriousness, I do need for the storylines to pick up because I cannot go another episode with it being more of the same about Melissa and Joe crying, about Teresa. I can't do it anymore. I need there to be some other stories going on besides this one. But y'all, that was my recap. I hope you guys enjoyed. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.